Yo, what's up guys? Rob Shoecraft here with 3 Sword Fitness. Let me demonstrate this half-baked as usual exercise and then I'll talk about it. Let me get in. Let's have the fun. Alright. Alright, so as you can see, I've rigged up a very poor man's GHD, Glute Ham Developer, Glute Ham raise. They hit the hamstrings mainly, glutes too, of course. So what we're dealing with here, this was inspired by Spud Inc. has this little tool, I think it's like 40 bucks. A little more sophisticated than this rig, but it's like this, you know, their classic yellow strap. It's adjustable. It goes over your bench like this does. I'll get into the details there in a second. Ties your ankles down, and you know, Spud in this video, he's referring to them as old schools, is what he's calling them, which are kind of, I think, inspired by like the Nordic curls. If you've ever done those before, they're really hard. They're an exercise. I'll go off topic, well, not off topic, but I'll go on a rant here for a second. They are an exercise that really, I mean, you gotta be real honest with yourself when you do them. I don't want to say they're easy to cheat, because they're not. They're very difficult. But you look like such a goof doing them nowadays, anyway, that it's just real hard to keep control and be humble about it, because if you've never done them, they're nasty, right? You slowly, let me just show you what they are. All right, you do these here. You guys probably know what I'm talking about. You can put like a barbell, set it really low on the rack, or have a buddy hold your ankles, right? And then you just go down as slow as you can, controlled as you can. Hit this, bring yourself back up with as little effort as possible, kind of depending on what you're going for. What I'm saying is, though, you know, I can see people doing like this, right? They're just like, you know, that's not really going to do much. Anyways, there's a lot of variations you could use. They're great exercise, an old school exercise, as I believe. But what I've done is kind of try to make it a little more like this guy, which is not quite assembled at the moment. Right, like an actual GHD. That's a Rogue Echo GHD. Works pretty well. You're probably wondering, why am I messing around with these if I have one of those? Because I just can't help myself. That's why. So what I have here is just a bench. Use any bench. And I got that video I made a while back, raving about these rigging loops or rigging slings. This sucker's like what, $7, $8, I don't know, something like that. Holds like several thousand pounds. Used for like tying up to a crane and lifting whatever. Well, there's a million uses for this in the gym. I'll link to that video. But basically what I do is I double it up, and then I run this underneath the bench, like so. Double it up just because if you don't, you have way too much slack. Bring this up here. You put your feet in there, and then it's going to hold you, right? It's going to get the weight of your body, hold the bench down. It's going to hold you. If you like really, you put a lot of force into it as you're coming up, you may get a little bit of a little bit of that, whatever. All right, if that really bothers you, then put a weight down, or quit being cheap, buy the real thing. So when I did those, it was great, but I wanted to try to get a little more like a classic GHD. So what I did was, first I tried with a heavy bag, like a big punching bag, just right on here, but it was real awkward and everything. It wasn't quite right. So I took a foam roller, and I took 2 yoga mats. The foam roller by itself was just way too intense, and it wasn't quite thick enough. Like, it wasn't quite in the right placement for my thighs to really focus on my hamstrings. but it was also really, really, like I said, intense. I mean, it's like foam rolling, which is already pretty intense for your quads. But times like a million because my entire weight of my body is on this. So, I don't know, something to consider if you're a masochist. But I took 2 yoga mats, just cheap yoga mats. You know, these things are like, I don't know, like $3 or $4 a piece. I just have them in my gym. And then just looped them around the foam roller and set them right. I kind of wedged this. This is a TheraBand little rubber piece here. All right, maybe I'll link to that review. It's good forearm exercise. Anyways, I cannot hold that thing without laughing. But because I'm 12. But you could use anything to wedge into there, or just fix it every time it gets out of place. Just put it back in. Like I said, it's not supposed to be something. You're not supposed to impress your friends with it, right? Just something to use to get the job done on the cheap. So give those a shot. You know, mess around with them if you got the equipment on hand. So it's all what I mean. Most people have a foam roller. I think this one I bought at Aldi for like $6. An impulse buy. Yoga mats are dirt cheap. We're looking at what, 10 to 15 bucks there. And then this little guy here is like let's just say 20 bucks max, and you got yourself a poor man's GHD, right? So mess around with those. A lot of different exercises you can do with that. A lot of variations. A lot of it kind of falls into like slow eccentric and isometric type holds and that sort of thing. But just the classic GHD, focusing on the hamstrings, works pretty darn well. It really does. I've done it for the past couple of weeks and like legit sets with it, and I mean, my hamstrings don't seem to know the difference. So give it a shot. Let me know what you think. Rob Shoecraft, 3 Storm Fitness. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks a bunch.